Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends. That's me. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hi, buddy.
We recommend things to each other, and then we come back the next week to talk about them and grade them and rate them on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how much it is up our individual alleys. Right now, I'm in the lead with 55 points, and Jake has 54 points. Real close still.
Yeah, real close.
Real close
I'm
still.
noticing over at the scoreboard you have a baseball action figure. What do you call them?
No, that's my Nolan Ryan one. I told you that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the wall of stuff vaguely from the podcast.
That's great, except
Yeah.
for Rancid's and Out Come the Wolves.
I will talk about Rancid one day, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. We both really like Rancid.
Yeah,
and that's their best album.
That's true. I'm
Yeah.
not going to argue with that. So anyway, so that's the show. This week we are going to talk about the 2020 documentary My Octopus Teacher, which is available on Netflix. And Jake recommended for me a podcast by Robert Evans, who used to write for Crack.com. He's a journalist, humorist, very great guy. His podcast, Behind the Bastards, and it's a 5-part now, as of recording series.
Yeah.
No,
6 just
6
came
now?
out. Yeah.
Shit, I only listen to 1 through 5.
I've only listened to 3, dude.
Shit.
You've been up on me on this one, dude.
You're already down a point.
Yeah.
Because I'm further into this than you are. It's the series, the most recent one about from Behind the Bastards on WWF/E/Carnival Crazy Person Vince McMahon.
Yep. We're going to do a whole bunch. I want to make you watch a documentary on the XFL. We're going to
God damn
go
it.
deep into this.
You know, there's a new one now with The Rock.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That thing's not going to take off.
No. But Jake's back with wrestling, so we're going to get all into that.
Do you feel like culture has turned its back on The Rock?
Here's the thing. So I was listening to another podcaster, and they were basically saying, like, he's the biggest movie star in the world. He doesn't have a franchise.
Yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't have any movie where he's just good.
And he so desperately wants something like
Wants a
that. Like he
franchise.
wants Black Adam, and it didn't work out for him.
Still haven't seen it.
I don't want to see it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Apparently he's pushing now for a live-action Moana,
yeah, yeah.
and he wants to play the character that he was animated
Yeah.
in. And I'm just like, I'm sure he has that kind of clout to, like, you know.
yeah, get it going, but we don't need it.
Yeah.
Because of the thing.
I think all right, so have you seen Fast X, the new one that just came out?
No, I haven't seen a single Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Not a one.
I've seen some of them. I have not seen all of them, and I couldn't tell you which ones.
There's 10 of them.
You could say I'm going to break your kneecaps if you don't know. And actually, there's 11 because there was Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, right. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. Speaking of The
Idris
Rock.
Elba.
Yeah. Or no, he wasn't in that one.
No, it was Jason
Idris Elba
Statham.
and Jason Statham.
There was somebody else with Jason Statham. Wasn't it The Rock?
Yeah, it was The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we know.
No, we don't. We haven't seen it. But so, and he was in that, and he apparently had beef with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of sad when you're getting bullied around by Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel doesn't have another franchise. He's just got that and
Riddick.
Groot. He's Groot. He's in all
Groot.
those movies.
Yeah. Everybody knows him from Iron Giant.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Vin Diesel seems like a lovable guy.
He's in Boiler Room. Have you seen Boiler Room?
Oh, my God. No.
Okay.
It's kind of like striking a chord in my head, though.
It's like a kind of Wolf of Wall Street, but before it was Wolf
Oh,
of Wall
yes,
Street.
yes.
Yeah.
He's got a wig on in that movie.
No, he doesn't.
That's his hair?
Maybe. I think so.
Oh, my God.
I don't have good wig reception.
Yeah, it looks like a wig because, you just see him bald head all the time.
Regardless.
But that was his, like, true acting try.
Him and Giovanni Ribisi.
Yes, I do remember one of the movies that I had. The trailer played before that. I was like, holy
Was that
crap.
great when you would know movies just from the trailer?
Yes,
Like,
those were my favorites.
on the old VHS. And
Yeah.
you're like, you can quote along with it. It's like, coming soon.
Yeah.
To a theater near you.
Yeah.
You're like, no,
Now
stupid.
released
Field of
on
Dreams
DVD.
came out 3 years ago.
Now on DVD. Nope, they put it behind the vault. You can't grab it anymore.
They're doing that now.
Yeah.
They're taking stuff off of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of stuff.
They
They're-
took Willow off
I
already.
didn't even watch the Willow series.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah?
I watched like 2 episodes of it. And like, you can't have Mad Morgan back, but they have Mad Morgan's daughter in it. And she kind of has like a little crush on the princess in it, which is, it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
They just kind of vaguely hint at it. And, Willow. He's there.
Warwick Davis is there.
He's just kind of doing stuff.
Yeah. But speaking of streaming things that are staying around for the foreseeable future, this week, or I guess it came out Tuesday, we're recording this Thursday, the 1st of June, And on Tuesday, the third season of one of our favorite shows, I Think You Should Leave, with Tim Robinson, is back.
It was back when I watched all of it.
So if you haven't seen this show, I would say, and I feel like a lot of our recommendations, we say this just as a qualifier, and I'll say things a lot, especially I'm like, if you don't like it, I get it.
Yeah.
And I Think You Should Leave definitely falls into that category. I can defend it to the ends of the earth on why I think it's funny. Yeah. But I understand if someone...
Everybody should accept that it's real and it's good. There's nothing bad about it.
It's not improv, but it is structureless sketch comedy.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't follow all the beats.
Yes.
There'll be a lead up to get you into the sketch, and then before you know it, you think you're going one way, and then Will Forte's stuck underneath the truck with a ponytail stuck in a truck that he climbed underneath. And that's a real sketch. It doesn't make any sense.
You parked on the sidewalk. I had to get under it. I can't go over it. My ponytail gets stuck.
It's an absurd show, but it keeps hitting. Like it plays a similar song, but I friggin' love that song.
Which song?
No, just as like a metaphor. Like
okay.
A lot of it follows the same pattern.
It has the same,
but it's so
formula.
Good.
But it's they keep coming up with better ingredients, I guess.
It's insane, and it's really funny seeing the quality of people that want to be involved with it too.
Jason Schwartzman was in this.
His
season.
Sketch I saw that was great.
That was great.
And
he's like, now I'm popular at the party.
Other comedy person that you like, Tim Heidecker's in one episode too.
Tim Heidecker's in it. That's
playing
great.
a dentist who wants to, or a doctor that wants to get into clubs.
Yep,
it's absurd.
I really want to get in the haunted house. Yeah. But there's also in that party sketch a guy named Carmen Christopher.
I don't know who that is.
Exactly. He's a low level, like barely known comedian.
Really?
That I just connected the dots
you better
watching
hope
it.
Carmen Christopher doesn't listen to this podcast.
He is not good.
You called him low level.
He is not.
He's on
there.
He's on. I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
He's hilarious. He's on a. Chris Gethard did a thing where people took over his slot for his public access show, like before the pandemic. And Carmen Christopher had a whole episode, and his thing was doing a late night TV talk show thing, but it was just crazy the whole time.
Nice.
He was like, "This episode brought to you by salami," and he's like, "You're telling me I could just put this on bread, just eat it any time?" He's like, "That's exactly what I'm telling you."
So, like we said, comedy is subjective.
Yes, I love that stuff.
I mean, I think this show's great. I mean, there are so many sketches that you just have to keep watching because there's no point to it, really. It's just nonstop hilarity.
Yeah, the more you watch it, the more you're going to pick up on the little things that, you were laughing too hard the first time through.
And a lot of the laughs aren't, I wouldn't call it like shock humor.
Yeah, but it's
shocking in the way of how absurd it is, and all the random, non sequiturs doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean. It's just like the randomness of it.
It's like equivalent to a jump scare.
Yeah,
where you kind of don't expect it coming, but you laugh instead of
It's a jump
scream.
Scare for laughter.
Yeah,
that's perfect. I haven't heard anybody put it like that, but that's exactly.
I compare
what it
horror and comedy together a lot because
we talked about this. It's the same. It's
the fear of the unknown.
Yeah,
and you laugh or you scream.
Yeah.
It's relief either way.
So, yeah, Tim, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But it's a classic show, and the fact that it's on Netflix is fantastic. I mean, I love sketch comedy.
They're not going to release it on physical media.
Nope.
Which, that sucks.
I know. You're a physical media guy.
I know. This is making me upset that it is on Netflix, but I'm happy it exists.
I'm sure if someone pirated it and put it on a Blu-ray and made their own little like Etsy cover that you could get.
I got a hookup in Brazil where I can get streaming shows on Blu-ray.
I don't know if you're joking or not.
I am not joking.
I know. God damn it.
I am not joking.
So, yeah, that show's back on. There were 3 big finales on TV over the last week, and I don't think you watched any of them.
Nope. No, Barry was one.
Yes, great finale.
That was a series finale?
Yes, it was.
Succession's
another one.
And I'm not interested in that show. There's no
you
way
wouldn't be. You would hate that show so much.
I would just read a description of it where the guy was like, "No, you're not supposed to like any of the characters." And I'm like, "I'm fucking out."
I like a couple of them, but no, Succession.
Not for me.
Succession is. I mean, I think it was great. It was only 4 seasons. You would absolutely hate it. The character arcs on the show are minimal. Like not many of them change too much.
Yeah,
it's a Greek tragedy. Like it's Sophocles shit where it's just like, hey, just so you know, by the end of this, no one's going to be fucking happy. But that's just what we're doing. We're all going to sit here. We're all going to experience this together. It's going to suck the entire time. Which is what you like when you see. Have you ever seen like Oedipus live?
I was in Antigone.
Oh, were you? Oh,
yeah.
So you know what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Going to see those shows, it's a bummer.
Yeah, they typically start with somebody coming out and being like, "Look, you're not going to be happy."
Yeah, and it's not like Shakespeare where there's comic relief throughout.
Yeah, no, there's
like
nothing.
that.
It's like, this is a really sad story. This
Right.
is very, very sad.
And life is sad.
Get ready.
Sit here and listen to it.
People are dying. People you like are going to die.
Yeah, yeah. But Succession was kind of that, except it's like, oh, it does take draws from current events, like with media and stuff like that, because it's all set around a fake version of Fox News, essentially. And it's like, how everyone thinks those people are assholes? They're fucking worse than you can ever imagine.
Big surprise.
Yeah. And but yeah, Ted Lasso was the other series finale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've been told I would like that.
You would. It's very cheerful. But,
I'd have to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's good. And then all those came out, and I was just like, and I think you should leave back. So
Yeah.
that's really what
I
I'm
was like,
most
yeah.
excited about.
As soon as I saw that it was
I think
on.
Barry was great. You'll eventually catch up with that.
Yeah, I'll
but-
definitely
Yeah,
get
it
around
was
to that.
very. Like, I will say this about Barry: every episode this last season was directed by Bill Hader.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my brother about this. It's just no show on TV looks like Barry. The way it is shot, the way the audio is, and everything like that. It's one of the best looking shows, I think,
Wow.
just by how unique it is. And knowing that this entire last season was directed by Bill Hader, he's one of those people where you're just like, I fucking hate how talented
He is such
you
a
are.
talented guy.
Yeah.
He can show up in something like, did you watch Pop Star?
Yeah.
His 2-minute scene steals the show.
Yeah, that and he bit parts in like Hot Rod, and then he does. Did you ever see Skeleton Twins with him and
No.
what's her name, Kristen Wiig?
No.
Great,
Really?
It's a very dramatic role.
Well,
Pretty much.
I love it. I love that he's so talented.
Stupid talented Bill.
And it's
Hader.
always like that with the funny people. They're like, no, I got something in the chamber that's gonna
some of them
really
do.
blow people away.
Some of them do.
Some of them are Rob Schneider.
Some of them are Rob Schneider, and luckily, only one of them is Rob Schneider because he kind of fell off the deep end. I think Rob Schneider would be a big fan of the person we're going to talk about first,
Who's that?
Mr. Vincent McMahon.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So Behind the Bastards.
God, I'm proud of that segue. So what we're going to talk about first was Jake's recommendation for me, which was episodes and a series, a mini series.
Basically Behind the
podcast.
Bastards, but to keep it relevant to my interests,
Right.
we're going to do the Vince McMahon one that just came out.
So Behind the Bastards is a podcast. Again, like I said, it's hosted by Robert Evans, a journalist and writer or former writer for Cracked.com. That's how I found out about him.
Yeah.
And it's a history podcast where he has guests on and kind of gives them a comical lecture, I would say.
He writes out a story, and then he has funny people comment, mostly from the Cracked era,
Right.
when we were growing up. And they just make it funny from a story that they tell.
Tells a story about a person.
bastard.
Bastard.
Yeah.
So it's a Behind the Bastards. It's bad people in history.
Yeah.
So it's not, all political figures and stuff like that, even though this one has a little bit of politics.
Yeah.
A
A crazy turn.
It's just about people who suck.
Yeah.
And
Steven Seagal is a good episode
Yeah.
on there. Mm-hmm.
so we're going to talk about the Vince McMahon one. So why did you recommend this to me? How'd you find it? And why Vince McMahon episodes?
I became a fan of Robert Evans during the George Floyd protests, and he covered it, and he did a great job of covering it. He was on the front lines a lot, took a lot of hits, and he didn't back down from anything, and excellent coverage. So I just kept following him, and then he was like, I'm the guy from Cracked, and I was like, oh shit, like that's amazing.
Yeah, see, I didn't know about the actual journalism part. I knew
right?
him from Cracked. So Cracked it's now defunct. I think it's mostly just clickbaity shit.
Yeah, I haven't read it in a long time.
it was,
since they had this big exodus years ago.
Yeah, I'm speaking out of school here, but I'm pretty sure Cracked was a magazine. It was kind of like the knockoff brand of Mad Magazine.
Yes.
And then they had Cracked.com. The magazine went out of business. This guy, Jack O'Brien,
Mm-hmm.
tech guy, bought Cracked.com and turned it into a comedy website.
Yes.
And for a while, it was great.
Yeah.
Like, I had their app. I would read articles on it every day.
You had David Wong, you had Robert Brockway, you had Sean Baby, who's the funniest man on the internet.
In this Vince McMahon episode as well.
Yes. Yes.
Then you had people like Soren Bowie, Dan O'Brien, Michael Swaim, and what's his name? The Some More News guy.
Oh shit, his name just
Cody Johnson.
Cody, yeah.
And they all were writers, and some of them did little videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now they've all gone and done a lot of great stuff. Like we said, Cody Johnson has Some More News, which is, I think, one of my favorite political shows.
It's where it fills the void where the Daily Show should have filled it.
I think it's a lot more going for jokes than Last Week Tonight, and it does longer things. Like they'll do like an hour on a topic, whereas Last Week Tonight, they do 30 minutes, but it doesn't have the production value. It doesn't have anything like that, which I think draws in more. And he's a lot more angry about shit.
Yeah, he's very stressed out.
He has a very great demeanor, and so they're all come from this.
So it's amazing
same
to
group.
see where.
And Soren Bowie is actually Dan O'Brien writes for Last Week Tonight.
Yeah.
And Soren Bowie is the head writer for American Dad now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so they got sold to a bigger company, I think, and they kind of fired all the talent, just cutting the fat
got rid
off
of everybody. Yeah.
And so Robert Evans ended up doing this podcast and wants to talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
In particular.
He went crazy on Vince McMahon. And because he usually does 1 or 2 episodes on people.
Yes.
And like we said, he's on the 6th episode now.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to go through with how crazy Vince McMahon is.
So were you just super stoked when the Vince McMahon series started and you're like, this is going to be a recommendation?
Yes, it was exactly that.
Yeah.
I was like, I really I listened to the Steven Seagal episode because Sean Baby was on it, and Steven Seagal is a very specific type of bastard.
Yes.
That it was fun to see the coverage of him. And they're going to do a Vince McMahon one. He's like, this is my biggest project yet.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, all right, I'm really into this. I can't wait to see what happens. And so I was like, I'm going to make Taylor talk to me about it.
So they go into a good bit of depth at the beginning of the backgrounds of professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Early days people, which is just filled with hilarious stories that are, sad.
Yeah.
And
nobody making it past 38.
Because of, brain injuries and then later
drug
brain
addictions
plus steroid use. And how much did you know about Vince McMahon going into this? You knew he was an asshole, but did you know about his early life and his dad and all that?
I didn't know that he had a father that was
Vince McMahon
a big
Jr.,
face of wrestling. Good call.
Most people have fathers, Jake.
I would assume everybody.
That's how we get here.
I was thinking that I knew that Vince McMahon was a part of... Excuse me. I knew that Vince McMahon was a part of...
Liquid Death's getting to you, buddy.
I don't know. I'm trying my best.
You need something that coats your throat.
A cigarette. That's right.
No, I was talking about a fine non-alcoholic Guinness.
4 months, baby.
4 months, no cigarettes?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Good for you, Jacob.
Thank you, my friend.
So
anyway yeah, I knew that he was the one that started taking all these... Because wrestling used to be just companies...
localized.
In different states. Yeah,
regional,
localized.
So to speak.
Yeah. And then he just conglomerated it all. But apparently that was his dad that was more a part of that. And that was something that I knew was starting to fuck wrestlers over because they're like, we're not going to pay you anything. But,
right.
There's
no
this is your
collective
life.
bargaining or anything like that.
And I was thinking that they would go into that, and they're absolutely going into that.
Yes.
So that was mostly what I knew, is that he was a bastard because he makes so much money, and he's telling his wrestlers, "I'm not even going to give you health care. There's no way. You're technically a contractor."
Yeah.
So
yeah, and so there was a little bit of this that we talked about, a couple episodes back or whenever it was. We talked about the Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows documentary.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the most I had been exposed to wrestling.
Sure.
I talked about it in that episode, but
You
play
get
the
the
video
character,
games and know people. It was hard to not know who Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, and
Andre
then as we
Giant.
got older, Andre the Giant was in The Princess Bride,
Yes.
the most perfect movie ever made. People that say it's Shawshank are wrong.
I just read IMDb.
Yeah.
They're that's top 100 right there, baby.
Yeah. But so I had known about it a little bit, but then that was kind of my first look into the inner workings of wrestling.
Yeah, the kayfabe side of it.
So that's kind of something that I wanted to talk about because it made me rethink how I felt about the Wrestling with Shadows documentary.
Yeah.
Going into, I think in one of the episodes, 2 wrestlers that are supposed to hate each other
Yeah.
got in a car wreck.
Yeah.
And then
They just kept kayfabe up.
kayfabe is pretending that what goes on in the ring is real.
Yes. Yes, yes.
And so I'm even more flummoxed as to whether or not that Wrestling with Shadows documentary was real.
I thought you were picking that up.
No, but I'm saying that I don't think he's that good of an actor for that to be that real. Regardless about Bret the Hitman Hart, we've already done one episode on him. Vince McMahon sucks.
He's an idiot.
I know
he's not an idiot.
He's not
I
an
guess
idiot,
he's
yeah.
But he's
He's smart.
He's a big asshole. He's a
Yeah.
reckless asshole.
I cannot believe that. Okay, so even as not a wrestling fan, I knew who Vince McMahon was.
Right.
And I've never thought that guy's cool or he's a good person.
Yeah.
But I feel like someone with his level of assholery should be more well known for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people still
And
love
it could
the
just
WWE.
be me. It could just be me.
Yeah. And he sold himself as the asshole, which I think was the brilliant move that he did for wrestling.
And that's what I thought. That's kind of what I thought is like, since I didn't know the backstage stuff, I thought, oh yeah, isn't he supposed to be like kind of a dick? Like all the wrestlers hate him. And like I remember seeing things about like with The Rock or someone like that, or Stone Cold, they'd like get into shouting matches. And I thought he was just playing the dickhead character. I didn't know he was a horrible person.
Yeah. He was a horrible person, masked it with being a horrible character.
Right, he kind of hangs a lantern on it, and he's like, "Yeah, everyone hates me."
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And he was like,
"Of course they talk bad about me. Look at what I do."
Yeah, they hate me because I pick on the wrestlers and I make them look bad and I
Exactly.
pull the strings and I let everybody know. And he's
Yeah.
like, he's actually an asshole because he picks on the wrestlers and he pulls the strings.
Just like Succession, it's like, you know how you thought it was? It's way worse.
Yeah, it's way worse. He's
Yeah.
a horrible person.
Yes, and so it's a fascinating, fucking.
Yeah,
series.
I can't wait. The only reason I haven't gotten into it so much is because I haven't been driving anywhere, and it's about 10 minutes to my to my work.
Yeah.
So I just get snippets.
I'll tell you, I spend a lot of time with earbuds in, just like working when I'm just doing mindless prep and stuff
I
like
can't
that.
do that.
I understand. That's why I do my
Yeah.
job, and I enjoy it. But I forgot my Raycons today.
Yeah.
RayconWireless.com.
Damn.
Use promo code Allie. Might work.
Wow.
It doesn't. It's not a thing yet.
People will retroactively do it when we get popular.
They'll write enough letters to Raycon. And be like, "What
Why
the hell,
isn't this
man?"
working?
Literally dozens of people listen to this podcast. But and I was just like, it let my mind wander a little bit,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. I had a good day.
Welcome to me every day at work.
Yeah, it was
I
kinda
just go
fun.
into it, and
Yeah.
what I do mostly is going through scenarios about what's
Oh,
going
do
on.
you have the head arguments?
Yeah, because they'll be like, "We're out of mashed potatoes." I'm like, "All right, somebody's going to ask for mashed potatoes. I know how to I know how to solve this." You know?
Yeah.
They're going to ask me, "Do you guys have mashed potatoes?" And I'm going to have to say, "No, I'm sorry, we don't." I'm sorry.
Takes up most of your day.
Most of my thoughts, because I'm typically putting stuff away or counting stuff.
But this is definitely a great podcast to listen to. Not ours. Well, ours too,
Yeah.
I guess, but
Both
Behind
of
the
them.
Bastards. So if it was just based on the Vince McMahon episode,
Yeah,
I would give you a 2.
yeah.
So I'm going to give you a 2 based on that. But I went back and listened to it because it's a great podcast. And it's one of those things where I probably should have been listening to it more.
Yeah.
But what got me is there's a 2-parter that came out at the beginning of May that I listened to, which is about Jack Welch.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went back and listened to that. If you had recommended that one, would have been a 3.
Damn.
It was so close, and it's kind of funny because Jack Welch is a business monster. He was the head.
God damn it! I should have thought of that.
He was the head of GE. He's basically who Alec Baldwin's character in 30 Rock is kind of based off
Yeah.
of. And Jack Welch was actually in 30 Rock for like 2 episodes. And he just started so much shit that fucked over the entertainment industry and just households and stuff like that, small businesses.
Wow.
And just kind of started that corporate,
Yeah, that one's so up your alley.
the corporate system
Damn
that's like, regardless of what, I'm going to fire the bottom 10% of people every year. Like, no matter what. Like, the companies are doing well, fuck it, we're going to shut it down and we'll get more for the stockholders and then we'll fire all these people and that's better for the bottom. He's the original, like, line goes up guy.
God damn.
So that was the 2-parter before. So that's a
Damn.
bonus recommendation because those 2 are
Shit.
fantastic.
Oh man.
You know I love business goals.
Yes, I should have started there. Damn it!
But yeah,
I went with my interests first.
I know. That's what you get for putting yourself first. Meanwhile, I made you watch a thing about an octopus.
You knew this was gonna do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, before we get into that, you get a 2. You get a 2.
2 is fine.
But I recommend Behind the Bastards with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
If you think
You're gonna check out this podcast more.
listen to that and listen to Jack Welch, and people write in and tell us which one you like better, the business monster or the wrestling monster.
Yeah. Both business monsters.
Both terrible people.
One's a corporate monster.
Yeah. Oh,
The other one's a fucking circus clown monster.
I think at one point in the Jack Welch episodes, Evans refers to him as the world's largest business ghoul. I'm like, I don't like business ghoul. That sounds fascinating. But yeah, Behind the Bastard, check it out. So
Sweet.
What I recommended for Jake is a 2020 documentary by Pippa Elric and James Reed. It's about Craig Foster. It's called My Octopus Teacher.
Yeah.
So in this documentary, it's on Netflix. It won the Academy Award for Best Director, or not Best Documentary, rather.
Cool.
This was recommended on a podcast that I listened to called Suggestible. It's one of the places where I got kind of an idea to do this podcast. And one of the hosts, Claire Tonti, recommended it, and I was just like, I gotta check that out. And then I didn't. But James Reed, the director of this documentary, one of the directors of this documentary, he has a new one out called Chimp Empire that's on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw
the
trailer for that.
Yeah. So I watched that and loved it, but then this came up as the recommended by, and I was like, I remember that being recommended for me from a podcast. I should recommend it for my podcast because it's easy like that.
For real.
So it's about Craig Foster. He's a free diver in South Africa. I think he's right outside of Cape Town.
I know. Beautiful water out there.
Holy shit. It's gorgeous.
It was amazing.
And he kind of develops this relationship with this octopus. A friendship. He just goes and sees the octopus every day. It's a common octopus, which I feel is a mean species name.
Yeah.
It's like, there are so many octopus.
Yeah.
This one's the common octopus.
Is, your everyday octopus.
Boring ass octopus is what you are. And he just kind of becomes a part of this octopus's life somehow by going to see it every day. And they, hang out. And I think it's fascinating to me, and I think it's a great documentary because there's only one guy in it.
Yeah.
Just Craig Foster. He's the only person that talks. He's the only talking head.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things where you're asking for other people's opinions. It's a documentary with a singular focus.
Yeah.
It's this dude and the octopus, and that's it. And the other animals and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I thought it was
Craig
a
and the
fascinating...
Octopus, yeah.
Craig and the Octopus. It's a pretty sweet band name.
He didn't even give the octopus a name, which I found fascinating.
Yeah. So...
He tried his best.
Before we get into
it,
let me try to just put a bow on that. So why I recommended it to you is, one, I love documentaries. And it was just such a great thing going and watching it. It's very different than Chimp Empire, because Chimp Empire is a lot of chimpanzees threatening to kill other chimpanzees.
Interesting.
Yes, very interesting. But different than this. And this is just, I think, a great one because it's a weird documentary in that the singularity of its focus, like I talked about.
I wouldn't even think to call it a documentary. I would think to call it like a reality narrative.
What do you think documentaries are?
Documentaries that are more like a documentation of a moment in reality. This wasn't that, sir.
Okay, I see what you mean. So you're saying like a regular documentary is more like for public broadcast. This felt a lot more personal.
Yeah,
and it did. It really felt like you're reading this guy's diary.
Honestly, the one thing that I compared it to in my head was Sherman's March, where it was
in the Civil War.
It's a documentary from the 70s where the guy was going to make a documentary about Sherman's March
to the sea,
to the south. Yeah, through the south. And during that, his girlfriend dumped him.
Oh shit! And I thought it was about actually that. I was like, I'll check that documentary out.
And then, in the course of trying to make this documentary, he's trying to find another girlfriend, and that's what becomes the focus of it. Is him being like, "Why did she leave me? And am I interested in these women that I'm going through? And how do I get a woman interested in me?" And then also Sherman did this march, so it just became far more personal, And I don't know if I would call Sherman's March, if he talked about that, a documentary, where what it became is more like cinema.
Okay. Kind of like
Right.
you find the story along the way in that one.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And this one, it is...
Because I'm sure they just went out and they wanted to do a story about the water life out there.
Right.
And then Craig was like, this octopus is really, really interesting. And they're like, an octopus? And then he's like, yeah, let me tell you the entire fucking story. Because
Right.
they have,
all this footage.
all the footage of their relationship.
So, okay, I guess weirdly, spoiler for the documentary for this thing that
They
happened.
have the life of the octopus on footage.
Pretty much the entire life of the octopus.
Yes.
This guy's out there every day, he says, for, I think it was like 260 days, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
A whole season, or a whole year, I guess, of, life
Yeah.
cycle for the octopus.
Octopus live for like a year, maybe, around there. Yeah. And you see, he said that he caught her at a very young age.
Yeah, it said 80% of their life.
And there was very interesting things to learn about the octopus. Like, I had no idea how they fed,
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see. Or, like, the, how you just see a ball of shells, and I was like, what the hell is that?
the armor. It was very,
Yeah.
I thought very Tears of the Kingdom there. Just like grabbing things to like pulling them up.
It was crazy because I didn't know octopi did stuff like that. And then, he's just saying like he would get closer and closer.
Yeah.
And then one day it just reached out to him and touched his hand, and he was just being very gentle, and he was like, all right, this octopus is starting to trust me.
Yeah.
So he got to see the life of an octopus, and
Very found the octopus when it was already full grown.
yeah.
Like, but then at the end, the octopus dies because
Yeah.
that's a part of what the octopus does.
And that's the story. You learn a lot about an octopus's life, that's very interesting. But I think it's very specifically this octopus. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's why it feels like a story more than it feels like a documentary.
Interesting.
I'm not learning a lot about octopus. I'm learning about this octopus.
Oh, so you're saying it's not educational?
Yes, other than like the small things, like
Hey, they use shell armor.
yeah, they use shell armor. They can drill a hole into a mollusk.
Yeah,
Put
that was
venom inside of it to make it
how
relax out of its shell so he can just suck it up whole.
You know how long that I've lived around the beaches when I was a kid and would always see shells with that little hole in the back of them.
Right? Yeah.
And I thought it was like, oh, you can make a cool necklace out of this.
Yeah. I thought
didn't
it
know
was
it was
just
a murder
natural.
hole.
Yeah.
That an octopus.
That was from an octopus. That was
Jesus.
very interesting. And and like the cool things that he learned how to track the octopus so he can find it.
Bananas.
And he was showing you pictures of different tracks that he could see, and he's like, at the beginning I didn't know what the hell I was looking at.
Right.
But
and he said he spent time with a tribe in Africa that were great trackers.
Yes.
And he learned from them, like, these are the people that could run across the savannah and like be like, oh, antelopes this way. Stuff you and I could never
Absolutely.
do.
No.
Never do.
Absolutely
I've
not.
gotten lost in a Safeway.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to find food out in the wild.
there's no way.
And in the ocean, I'm,
I
worthless
don't
in the
want
ocean
to
too.
be in the ocean.
No.
So, and it's a story about this octopus's life, but it's also a story about Craig.
Yes.
And what was amazing to me is it's really a story about developing empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what was, because when he touches the octopus for the first time, you can tell that was a very, very emotional moment for him.
And it is kind of him documenting, the changes he had over the year.
Yes.
And
Because
I think there's something if you set up a year of doing anything, not to belittle this because it's a fascinating documentary, but I was kind of in the mindset of, if you or I started to do something like, I'm going to do this thing every day for a year. Some people go jogging or something like that, or if you played guitar like we both play, if you picked it back up and started doing that every day for a year, and you had documentation of how you were feeling every day, I feel like most of us would go over sort of kind of the same arc.
Yes, I can see what you mean.
Because in phases of my life, I probably should have documented more how I was feeling in certain points and be like, oh, this is a year of this.
Change happens,
Yeah.
from something that you're forcing yourself to do to something that just becomes routine.
Right.
And you see that in him to the point where, it's emotional for me to watch this when we get to the end of it, and we're just like the part with the shark and the shark getting a
Which
bite
part?
out of the octopus.
Oh, the first time. So
Yes.
yeah, those little striped bastards.
I got so worried,
Yeah.
and it was just like it felt like it was wrapping up, like the music was getting sad,
Mm-hmm.
and it was. And then that's when I learned that octopus can regenerate their tentacles.
Yeah.
That was
Like a
amazing.
lizard.
And then you just go on with this beautiful story about the guy becoming friends with an octopus
Yeah.
to the point where she finds a male octopus.
I think he finds her. She didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
He
He
tracked her
went
down.
to Craig went to her den and saw
Yeah.
that there was another octopus in there. He's like, "Oh, sorry guys."
I love that part. Like there are a couple parts of the documentary where I'm like taking it so seriously because I mean, there are lighthearted parts of it, but it's a pretty serious documentary
Yeah.
for just being about a dude talking to an octopus.
Yeah.
That part made me laugh a lot where he's like, and I went there and there was another large octopus and he was like kind of offended.
Yeah, he was a little
He's just like,
jealous
well, who
of this.
the fuck is this?
He was like, "I guess I'm not hanging out today."
What's this guy doing here?
Yoko.
I'm gone for one day. You bring some other fucking guy over here.
And that's the other thing that you learn at this point is that octopus females
Yeah.
literally put their whole life into bringing these children
Yeah.
into the world.
So she gets pregnant, or no, they lay eggs, and
Yeah,
then
they
she's
lay
there
eggs.
safeguarding the eggs.
Yeah.
And so instead of
And
like
she's
gestating inside, like the mom would, like with mammals do, mom has to eat a bunch and everything like that because what women go through while they're pregnant, and females in every species, I would imagine, bananas.
Yeah.
What the octopus does, lays the eggs, and then just sits there and waits to die
Yeah.
while protecting her eggs.
Yeah.
Which is
She just
horrifying.
stays there. Yeah.
Like that last
And
last
he
little
still
bit.
watches her. He still comes every day.
And
to
she's just
see
there.
her, and she's just there, and
Yeah.
you see her slowly getting weaker and weaker.
In the fact that they're saying how solitary octopus are for their entire lives, and that's another part of me that in nature documentaries always just makes me so entertained is the instinct that's in some animals. It's like she didn't learn this from anybody else.
Yeah.
Like it shows
Yeah.
her kids being born. There's like 500,000 of them. They're
Yeah.
like handful will make it.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are just fucking
Yeah.
gone.
And-
And they'll figure it out too, the way she did.
And she drifts out of the den, her weak body, and then scavengers come by and they start picking at her.
He didn't need to show that part.
I think he did. It was very important to
Really?
me. Yeah, because it was very natural. It was an extremely natural thing that was happening. And that's why it was in me that I wanted to push these things off of her. But he's like, I know that, this is a living biome that I'm in. And
Right.
This is a part of all of it.
He says that a couple times that he's a guest in this
Yeah,
thing.
and he's like, comes back one day and he's like, just a shark comes by and swallows her whole.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was the most precious ending I think you could have for an octopus life, that she got to bring her children into the world, and that's like the main goal of animals.
I guess that's it for them.
And that, she did it. And like through against all odds, watching these horrid creatures
Yeah.
bother her all the time and just surviving that long. It was very emotional
Yeah.
and just impactful
Yeah,
the whole time.
There are a couple great parts in the middle. I think there's a part where octopus is trying to hunt lobster,
Yeah.
and the lobster keep getting away from her,
Yeah.
and they keep jetting out. And then she learns in a way that fucking Craig is always watching her
Yeah.
from a certain thing away. So she positions herself positions the lobster between Craig and her.
Yep.
So she knows the lobster's not going to go towards Craig.
Yeah, he's gonna
And
have to
sneaks up behind it,
float up.
and just like
Yeah.
swallows it, like envelops it completely.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh shit, she's using me."
Yeah. She used me as a
Yeah.
a partner in hunting.
And then an earlier part, I don't know. I think it's just great how the restraint and the discipline
Yeah.
he has for not
Yeah.
doing that. Because if anything happened to an animal I cared about, I'll fucking jump in front of a bus.
I mean,
anything like that.
When she lost her tentacle,
Yeah.
and she was weak and just hanging out in her den,
Yeah.
like he went and grabbed a clam and opened it up and put it in her den. And he's
Yeah.
like, and I don't know if I did anything. He's like, but I couldn't.
Right.
He's like, I could not do
Yeah.
anything.
And I think
And that was the only time that he was really like,
yeah.
intruding
Interfering,
into
yeah.
her life.
And he's a very, very genuine person. And I think that adds to a lot.
I think the octopus was what made him a very genuine person.
Interesting.
Because he talked about it at the beginning where he gets so wrapped up in his work that he forgets about his family. And he's like, and I'm not being a good father to my child.
And he goes and spends a year in the
spends-
ocean.
And then he's like, I just go out to the ocean and do this. And then he gets enveloped into this thing again.
I feel like I'm not spending enough time with my family. Son, I'm going to go talk to this octopus.
But he reveals at the end that he's taking his son out.
Right.
Most
And
of these days.
It
to
has like
go
a
see
little
it.
happier ending.
Yeah. I cried once.
Did you?
During this thing.
Nice.
Yep. It was when he comes in and he's like, shallow water in a school of fish. And he's watching her, and she would just throw her tentacles up. And he's like, she's smarter than that. She knows how to catch
a fish.
And he's like, I started thinking, like, she's playing with them. Like, she's just playing around. And then the fish swim away, and then she just swims up to me, and then she just,
gives him a big hug.
latches onto my chest. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no. This is the most grueling thing I've seen in such a long time.
So pure.
Oh, my God. That was insane.
That's a good one. So
Yep.
I'm taking it this is a 3?
It's an absolute 3. It's
Nice.
an amazingly fantastic documentary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I dug it. I thought
I'm very
you would
happy
like it
you
too.
brought it to me. I literally thought when I heard My Octopus Teacher, it was going to be some type of children's cartoon that somehow got underneath my radar.
There's Octonauts. That's kind of a thing.
But, yeah, it's an absolute 3. Just,
A.
it was exactly the type of shit that I enjoy.
Nice.
Developing empathy, I think, is a fantastic skill. You can do too much. I have way too much. But having some will mean that you actually, spend time with your son.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
There's being a nature documentarian, and like we said, Craig doing the staying out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that I'm just like, when you watch a nature documentary, you're like, how do you get this shot without the lion just pound? And I know there's cameras that like have extra zoom and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a story a couple years ago about a researcher that was in Antarctica, and she was trying to observe penguins.
Mm-hmm.
And this leopard seal, big ass leopard seal, would like just come up and like hop up next to her and it'd be like, like they're dogs of the ocean, basically. It just like came up
Super
and like,
curious.
hey, what are you doing? Like, you watching all those penguins? And she said she was there for like a week or 2 weeks, whatever, same kind of thing that Craig was doing, going and seeing the penguins and taking notes and shit like that, but she's further off. And then the leopard seal would go and like kill one of the penguins.
Yeah.
Because that's what seals do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the seal would bring her a dead penguin, and she realized that the seal's looking at her like, oh, she doesn't know how to fucking hunt. She's out here by herself. Like, let me go kill a penguin. And like, the seal was just
so
killing
sweet.
penguins, not eating them, bringing it to her. And she's like, well, I guess I got to leave because I'm getting these things
It's
killed.
crazy that the animal kingdom is like that.
Yeah.
The seal doesn't have to do that.
Love a good animal story.
But the seal's like, I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
The octopus is like, for survivability.
Yeah.
She should have just ran away from Craig any moment that she could.
Yeah, and I did like how they kind of bookended the first time he saw her covered up in the clamshells and stuff like that, to her using that as a defense against a shark that was coming in.
And it worked
It's
well.
like, oh, that's why she was doing that, because I was in there first and she thought I was a threat. So
that was cool to
gets
go
her,
back and
gets her armor on.
And it was a really nice ending where
And the
his
octopus
son
pulled
actually
a Han Solo coming off the back of the Star Destroyer. Like, that's all I could
latched
think about.
onto the back
So
of it.
The octopus is on the back of a shark, like just riding it, and it's like, and then slowly she just let go and floated away. I was like, that's what fucking the octopus did what Han Solo did. Just drifted off.
It was, and then at the very end, he talks about how he brings his son, the free diving with him like all the time.
Good family
and
stuff.
He actually found a baby octopus.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and that's like, it leaves it ambiguous. Like, that might be one of her babies, and it's like, oh god damn it, this is such a good fucking movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Very good.
Okay,
Feel good stuff.
My Octopus Teacher is a recommendation from both of us.
Absolutely. I
That
cannot do it a
is-
justice. We cannot do it a justice just speaking about it.
And it moves at a good clip. Like, it's about like an hour, 40 minutes, something like that.
And
it's,
Craig is like a fantastic narrator.
Yeah.
So it's
just him.
and the water is literally gorgeous.
Some of the shots are fantastic.
There's so many fantastic animals in there. I hate the ocean. I think everything looks awful, but the way Craig talks about it and how
I
he shoots it.
Ocean. I think everything looks awful.
Yes, but the way that Craig talks about it and the shots that he gets of these weird things, it really develops empathy in me for these things.
When they were showing like the little montage at the end where, doing the biome and everything, like at one point it cuts to an otter. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Where's he been this whole time?
Yeah.
Look at that little furry guy.
He had otter. Could have been my otter teacher.
I'm team mammal. I'll root for the mammal every time. Like,
I'm never eating an octopus ever again.
Have you?
Yes. In Vegas.
Ooh, was it one of those weird live ones?
No. It was cooked
just grilled
octopus, but it wasn't that great.
Texture's off for me.
Yeah, the texture wasn't great. It was very rubbery.
Yeah, but calamari though. Fuck the squid.
I like calamari. I don't know if I'm going to touch it again.
Really?
My squid teacher's going to come out soon. He's going to fuck me up again.
It's going to be called my cuttlefish tutor.
They're going to do my pig teacher. And I'm like, God damn it.
I'm going to
become a vegetarian.
This is my cephalopod professor.
Yeah. But, yep, definitely a recommendation.
All right. So if you are enjoying the show, please leave us a review. You can do it right in the app, whatever app you're listening to it on. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can watch the show there. You can comment. You could do all that good stuff, and we really appreciate it. You can tell your friends about the show because that's a great way to build it, just word of mouth. You can send us an email with your recommendation to upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram @upyouralleypod. And let's get into what we're going to be getting into next week. Jake, what do you got for me?
I brought a movie for you to watch.
Yes, Physical Media.
I guess it's a documentary as well.
Physical Media, Jake's right here.
It is called The Last Waltz.
Yeah.
It's from the Criterion Collection, and it is directed by Martin Scorsese, and it's about the last performance that the band called The Band has done. And I love it. It's filled with music that I enjoy thoroughly, and I think it's going to do to you what it did to me, which is really open my eyes about how amazing and how human a lot of these people are.
Yeah, so we talked about this because you brought it downstairs, and you were like, have you seen this before? And I will say I have, but it's been a long time. Yeah. And I don't think I ever saw it all in one go, and it was definitely over 15 years ago.
Right.
So, and you brought up, you're like, well, you should probably watch it now because things change. So I am really interested in this. One,
things change.
It's great, and I know I know Dylan shows up, and I know.
No, Bob Dylan doesn't show
up. Bob Dylan doesn't show up to this? No. All right, well, then maybe I'm confused.
Neil Diamond shows up.
All right.
Neil Young shows up.
Oh, all the Neils?
Jody Mitchell shows up.
You sure Bob Dylan doesn't show up?
Muddy Waters shows up.
Gotta love that.
That was fucking great.
Yeah, Bob Dylan is in this.
He is?
You shut up.
You shut up.
Yeah, Robert Zimmerman. That's his real name. So, I'm going to watch that. We'll talk about that because I do want to...
Oh, shit, he does show up in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing I remember about this.
Good God. Yeah.
This will be a good conversation.
He looks like a hobo.
Yeah.
I remember now.
He's Bob Dylan.
See this guy singing. I was like, I don't know who this one is.
That'll be fun. I want to check that out and talk to it again.
Hell yeah. I recently revisited it, and it's great. And I look forward to talking to you about it. The Last Waltz,
I'm looking, I don't think it's, you can get it, you can rent it on Apple TV, but I don't think it's streaming.
If you have the Criterion channel, I'm pretty sure you can watch it on that. Oh, I don't got that.
I mean, you love the Criterion Collection.
Oh, yes. That's where I get all my classic Japanese samurai movies.
Good God. I'm glad it's not another one of those.
Oh, boy. I was sitting there looking at Samurai Trilogy being like, do I make them see it?
Just like I did all Affleck April, you're going to do
Samurai September.
That's what you're going to do?
We might.
I was going to do all documentaries for October and do Doctober.
I was going to do Jackie Chan July.
Jackie Chan July?
Yeah.
I'm on board for that. Why July? Just because it fits?
Alliteration.
You could have done Jackie Chan June.
I needed more time because I wanted it to be...
Had to plan it.
I wanted to plan it out more instead of being like, I'll just choose Super Cop and make him watch the cop that can't be stopped.
I'll watch it. I'll have fun things to say. All right, so I have a movie for you. It's a 2022 fantasy romantic drama.
Oh.
Yes. Produced and directed by Mr. George Miller.
Oh.
You're familiar with George Miller.
Holy shit! It's 1,000...
3,000 Years of Longing.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
That is available on Amazon Prime.
I completely forgot about this movie.
Yes, so did I, until it popped up on my Amazon thing, and I was like, oh, it was like 2 weeks ago. I was trying to find something on Amazon, and it was like, oh, but from George Miller, recommended for you. And I was like, I completely fucking forgot that movie came out.
I love George Miller.
So it's got Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton as the stars, and so the base of this, it's based on the short story, the Jinn,
I believe. Yeah. Just like Django.
Makes sense. The Jinn in the Nightingale's Eye by A.S. Byatt. Idris Elba plays a genie, and Tilda Swinton's a lady who gets the genie, and it's kind of
sexy.
Yeah. It's your classic genie, 3 wishes, but maybe things aren't always how they seem.
Great.
But
that's great. I'm happy you reminded me of that. Great.
Directed by George Miller and written by George Miller too, who, if you don't know George Miller, he did famously the Mad Max movies.
Hell yeah.
And then also Happy Feet and Babe Pig in the City.
All bangers.
Yep.
Every one of them out of the park.
Yeah. Well, not all the Mad Maxes.
Yeah, the first Mad Max is kind of a drag. I mean,
yeah.
Thunderdome is fun.
Oh, R.I.P. Tina Turner.
R.I.P. Tina Turner.
That's recent.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thunderdome.
Rest in peace and power.
I think the best Mad Max was the most recent Mad Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easily.
God, that movie ruled. But yeah, and also Happy Feet for some reason. So George Miller does a little bit of everything.
Happy Feet is great.
So 3,000 Years of Longing by George Miller, starring Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton, both amazing actors.
Absolutely.
And that's available on Amazon Prime. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Tell a friend about the show. Write us an email, upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram @upyouralleypod. Thank you very much for listening. Jake, thanks for coming over, buddy. I love you.
You know what character Idris Elba knocked out of the park?
Stringer Bell?
Knuckles in Sonic. I love you, buddy.
Love you too. Bye, guys.